Cool. Hey.
Hi.
Okay, so today I thought we could talk about myths around naturopathy because there's so many of them.
My favorite subject.
I'm gonna just list myths or misconceptions, and we're gonna shoot the shit about it.
Oh, Mythbusters.
Yes. We are uneducated.
Pardon, is that just a general consensus or is that for me to rebut?
Myth number
Correct.
one. No, wrong answer.
No, we are not uneducated. If we were uneducated, am I allowed to swear? Or do you have to bleep me if I do?
Do what you want.
What the fuck was I doing for the last 10 years? Do you know what I mean? Like, if I was uneducated, why was I at uni?
Yeah. So we've done degrees that are 4 years long.
Yeah, but they're not actually 4 years long. Like, there's no way that you can do it in 4 years.
If you're 23 and don't have kids, maybe.
Even then, I've watched it happen where, like, even in my previous role doing admissions, they start off full time and eventually drop down to 7.75 or part time because it's just not, you can't do it.
So people are like underestimating
100%.
the workload. Yeah. So we do a 4-year Bachelor of Health Science specializing in naturopathy. So a Bachelor of Health Science is like the basis for, I think if you want to do like physio, chiro, like any sort of health modality in Australia, you have to have like a health science basis.
Correct. Yep.
And you're saying that like everyone was dropping out. So even people who seemingly have a lot more time would take on the study load that we undergo and would have to like back off a bit because it is a lot. It is actually a lot of study.
And it's a lot of information. It is a hell of a lot of information. It's not, so one of the people that I admitted into the course was doing physio and he was doing full-time loading and he was there for 12 hours a week.
Wow.
So what's our full-time loading?
Who's there for 12 hours a week at full-time? Ours is 24.
24 hours a week.
24 hours.
Not including study.
So you meant to like add another 20 onto that, like a 48-hour week.
Yes.
Full-time, if you do everything you meant to do.
Yeah, and it's not as simple as learn an hour, do an hour of tutorial. It's far more complex than that.
Yeah.
So I think when people say they were uneducated, and I think a lot of people think that we dance around fires and
it's optional.
So what are you doing later? And we got flower essence therapy. I think they think that is the basis when we did that of our whole degree, whereas it's not. Like, we're not simply giving you herbs because we're like, this one feels good. There's so much scientific backing. There's so much deep cultural knowledge. There's so much historical knowledge. But the basis of it is, to be able to teach it, is the scientific knowledge.
Yeah, so it has to be, for it to even be endorsed in Australia as a recognised university degree, it has to meet a particular like mainstream standard of health science. And so if you're interested in like the energetics or the woo-woo stuff, there's like a little tiny bit sprinkled in on the periphery, but that's something you've got to really pursue on your own through talking to people or further education, because like the basis of it is like mainstream hardcore science. And even the herbs that we learn are all, what's the evidence base for it? Here's the traditional use, here's historical, but we have to go by the evidence base.
Yeah.
So we're not uneducated.
No.
And I think the other thing with that is that we got, 15, 20 years ago, like up until quite recently, you didn't need a university degree. You could do a year at TAFE or something.
Advanced diploma.
An advanced diploma. So that was like 1 or 2 years at like a non-university, non-tertiary institute.
Yeah.
And then I guess there were people out there prescribing these powerful medicines with like 12 months of education, and you can do a bit of damage with that.
Well, that also goes into hold on, where's my soapbox? That also goes into the unregulation of the title of naturopath.
I have a thing about that. Let's go.
With the lack of protection around the title of naturopath, you can do a 12-week course online. Yes, you won't have the insurance. You won't have a governing body.
Or the access to some of the products.
But you'll have access to a lot of products.
12 weeks online.
Yeah. Because it's the same as nutritionists. There's no, like you could be a PT.
So it's not a protected title.
It's not a protected title.
Anyone can say that they're a naturopath.
And so that's where I think that ideology that we are uneducated is continually exacerbated. The story continues on because there's people out there who are not that I don't have anything against PTs, they make me hurt a lot, but when they do a 6-week nutrition course and they're a nutrition coach and they say I'm a nutritionist, or they do someone at a pharmacy does a few things through say Metagenics, or I'm going to be cancelled after this. Any of these things, they can then say that they have, they're an alternative medicine practitioner. Or doctors. There's a lot of doctors that go and do these extra training in these supplements, these herbs, and then they are able to prescribe them. Whereas I feel like, and I don't feel the same because you've done obviously the 2 degrees, that I don't even know enough. Like I feel like there's huge gaps in my knowledge I've had to fill myself.
100%.
And yet these people are doing, and I think that's where it comes in. The more knowledge you know, the more knowledge you have, the more that you know
that you don't know
to nothing about it. Whereas these people going in balls to the wall, like I've done a 6-week course. Like I've been prescribed a diet for the gym, and it's predominantly beans.
By a PT?
Correct.
Your PT gave you dietary advice?
Yes.
Of beans.
So it's a lot of beans, no carbohydrates. And no carbohydrates and just cruciferous veg.
How well do you go with beans?
I don't.
Okay.
So if I followed that, I'd probably be skinny, but I'd also be divorced because my husband would be sick and tired of me just crop dusting through the house after eating nothing but broccoli and beans. And I read this and I was very upfront and I was like, this is not a good diet. This is going to cause issues.
What was the rationale? Like
low, more volume eating. So it was very much low.
Fiber.
Lots of fiber.
Okay, interesting.
Lots of fiber, very protein.
Yeah.
But no carbohydrates. And so one of my fellow gym goers said to me that she never likes to eat cake. She's not a sweet person. She's salty bish.
Yeah. And
I was on that diet for 2 weeks and just went to Coles and bought a whole cake and sat down with a fork and ate it because she was so, that's the whole thing though, isn't it? So
it wasn't a really good diet, wasn't well matched the person's needs.
It was a bog standard. It was a bog standard, and that's where it comes into. So you go see I hate going back to nutritionists because we're naturopaths, but it's I think that is a highlighting study mode because anyone can call themselves a nutritionist.
Yeah.
But you go see an actual nutritionist, they're going to take everything into consideration.
Yeah.
They're going to take in your lifestyle, they're going to take in your preferences, they're going to take in your intolerances, they're going to take in, what your
cravings, like all those personal little things.
Everything. They're not going to give you a printed out diet.
Yeah.
And say, this is what you should follow. Because you might do really well on it.
Oh my gosh.
Because you like beans. Right?
Yeah, I like beans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like a white bean puree with my steak, but that's because I'm bougie. I don't want to sit there and eat a tub of black beans.
Yeah.
Like I'm literally going to be like Harry Potter's auntie where she floats off into the nether.
I watched that yesterday.
That's me. I'll be floating off.
So
waiting to fart.
Well, we've learned Sara doesn't do well on beans. We're pretty educated.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing. What we're educated in, people kind of don't know what naturopaths do. So our predominant education is in health science. So we cover human biology, biochemistry, like pathology. We do a bit of pharmacology. We do like phytochemistry, so plant chemistry.
Yeah, pharmacognosy.
Yeah. So there's
nutritional biochemistry.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. We cover so much nutrition.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
Even though it's not a nutrition degree, we are like qualified to treat nutritionally. We are qualified herbalists as well.
Yes.
And then a big part of like everything else we do is lifestyle medicine. So it's about, sleep and getting sunshine and, going for a walk and your exercise, like the morning light, all of that stuff. Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I have like a really mostly love relationship with this, is, Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
I love him. I think he's great.
Oh, he's a daddy. Yeah.
Yeah. And but I love what he does. But all of a sudden, all of these guys are getting on board, and all these people are like, did you know Andrew Huberman says you should get morning sunlight? And look, I'm so happy the information's getting out there, but we were getting taught this 10 years ago or 7 years ago, whenever we started our degree, and people were looking at us when we would say it like, oh, what? They thought it was bogus. And now Andrew Huberman comes out looking all handsome with his like black button up going, okay, so welcome to the Huberman podcast. Did you know?
Yeah.
And, it's probably in the delivery because he breaks it down, and he's very like palatable. He's a big, like handsome, strong man, but also he's very scientific. Whereas when I say it, people just go, okay. But, like all the stuff that's coming out very recently is stuff that we've been taught that was like inherent in our practice. Like, yes, you exercise. Yes, you need morning sunlight. All of these things. Yes, everything is individual, and yeah, it's good that it's getting out there. But sometimes, I've got to bite my tongue because I'm like, we've been saying this for years, but we were just mocked.
And you're a bigger person than me because I don't bite my tongue. Like, I'm a weapon on Reddit.
On Reddit?
Yes.
I'm too scared for Reddit.
Oh, they hate naturopaths on Reddit.
I bet.
And I am always like, you have no idea what you're talking about. And, but even so my mum she did 3/4 of a herbalist degree. So we were brought up to be we didn't wear sunscreen. Oh man, we'd be so cancelled after this. There was no such thing as slip, slop, slap.
Yeah. Wow.
We were drinking kombucha out of a terracotta pot, but it wasn't nice kombucha like what you get in the shop. It was like stripped your mucosal membranes all the way down. We were having sprouted stuff a lot.
Wow.
It was very much, and people thought that we were bonkers.
Yeah, of course, like 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, it would have been about 27
weird.
years ago. Yeah. It was weird. We were weird.
Yeah.
Like we didn't use, my mum used soap nuts to wash our clothes.
Wow.
Like it was very, very hippy dippy stuff. And people would always say to me, why don't you wear sunscreen? And I'd be like, I don't need to. And they would be completely flummoxed that I would not put sunscreen on.
And that's a very controversial topic still, but there is a lot of data coming out now about, I won't even go there, I can't speak to it, but there's a conversation being opened up at the moment. Yeah,
there's a huge, and even my beautician, my
esthetician,
that's the one.
Yeah,
I'm so educated. I can't say esthetician, but she's always saying to me, you need to, like, do you wear sunscreen? And I was like, I never wear sunscreen. And she's like, you need to start wearing sunscreen before it's too late. And I keep saying, absolutely not. And yet I don't particularly look like a suitcase.
No.
And I'm always in the sun. Okay, but I'm not stupid about it. I don't lie in the sun for 10 hours with baby oil on. I just don't wear sunscreen.
Yeah.
But I find that the more, oh my God, I'm going to get so cancelled. The more seed oils I have, the faster I burn.
Yeah.
So I think it's about being smart. And I think it's about, we don't need to lather ourselves in sunscreen, sit in the shade and shit like that.
Yeah.
Because that's not how we're built.
Makes me think of childhood, being like pasty white with sun cream with a big bucket hat on because I'm so pale, like big t-shirt.
Yeah.
Just sitting there while all these kids get out and like have a tan, and mum's like, you'll get that.
No, and we were brown. As kids, we were so tanned.
Yeah.
All the time. Like all the time we were completely toasty brown. So and never burnt. I never burnt until I switched from cow's milk to plant milk. It was the first time I ever burnt.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Isn't that weird? That's a bit woo-woo. And when I say that to people, and that's back on this subject, when I say that to people, people are like, yeah, that's in your head. Like, you've lost your mind, but it really is. Like, we don't. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's coming out, and even the biohacking stuff that's coming out now.
Yes.
That is killing me, because the stuff that we've been touting for years and years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
And we were looked at like we were the village weirdo.
Yeah.
When we used to say it. And now people are like, have you tried red light therapy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, that was me on my.
I love it.
I probably should have
awesome.
taken some Bacopa before this.
Very good. Bit of rhodiola, bit of.
Yeah.
We're all witches. Some of us.
I think the term, well, yeah.
Well, think of where it comes from, right? So, like traditional herbalism was often females, not all the time. Depends like how far back you go and what culture. And the herbalists were also probably spiritual, a little bit shamanic, did a bit of everything. So I think it was originally like, you know, what is a witch? But it was all kind of like one thing together, and it wasn't, you didn't take it apart.
But then, like, this is the other part of it. Are you talking about someone who is like that, or are you talking about, like, you know, you're putting us in the same thing about the witch trials, where it was the women were blamed for everything. So when everything goes wrong, they were blamed on women, and, you know, psychopathic women were called witches, sociopathic women were called witches.
Oh, I wasn't going that far.
Yeah,
I love it.
Just listen to a podcast about it. It's just new hyperfixation for me.
Keep going.
Yeah. And the same with men were werewolves. So men who were mass murderers. Like, you know how they said this, the term serial killer wasn't brought in until like the 70s. It's because they used to be werewolves or vampires.
Oh, so it's like a term.
It's a term because we couldn't fathom that they were monsters. We couldn't fathom that our own people were monsters. So
you make them into a magical creature. And
that's the thing. Are they, like, where does this witch thing come from? Is it this diabolical, you know, evil woman that's trying to...
I think it's got to be misunderstanding when you don't understand someone's techniques.
Yes.
Even if they're completely, you know, validated in science today, using a herb 100-300 years ago that worked. If you couldn't explain it, if it was
the Bible couldn't explain
yes,
if the Bible couldn't explain it, and the men that were in charge couldn't explain it,
or didn't have control over it,
then, you know, if people were flocking to these people who were helping them through, you know, lifestyle changes, you know, washing their hands. Yeah. These babies that were, like, we had such a high rate of infant death in the medieval times.
Yeah.
And the ones that didn't have high infant death were the women who were old school. No, it was after medieval times, actually. It was more like pre-Victorian times where we had that, where the women that were old school midwives, the real sort of like witchy poo, they were all having levels of sanitary washing hands.
They knew that.
They would have the herbs in the water, and they would do this and stuff. And so when men took over obstetrics, there was no sanitation. So the high rate of infant and maternal death skyrocketed. So what, like, are they witches because they're using herbs, or is it because that you did it, you fucked it up, and now you're blaming it on these woo-woo women that were... It wasn't magic. It was just long-term information passed down. And I think that's what it is. It's these women that are able to heal and help, and when it can't be explained, instead of being like, wow, this is something to be celebrated, it's a threat.
Yes.
But I agree, yes, we're all witches. No, I think we are. Like, we all are. We're
all practicing that in some way.
We are. And it's not a witch that's, you know, anti-biblical. I think you can still be very religious, whether you're, you know, mainstream Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or Shinto, whatever you are, and still practice this. Because at the end of the day, this stuff came from the earth. Who created the earth? This is a gift. We're using it.
That's lovely. That's a really nice way of putting it.
Oh, thank you. I came up with that by myself. Not doing it.
Yeah, it's just funny. Like, we always had the joke at when we're at uni, like we're off to Hogwarts, you know, School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Yeah, I was still looking for Draco back then, but couldn't be found.
Which house are you in Harry Potter?
Slytherin.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a Ravenclaw.
I could pick that for you, actually. You definitely you give me Ravenclaw vibes. That Sorting Hat gave me the two options. So essentially, I'm Harry Potter. He gave me the two options. He was like Gryffindor, Slytherin. You could go 50-50.
So you're a little bit sketchy.
We know this. This is not news.
Okay, off topic, but that was really fun. I had to know. Okay, next myth. We are opposed to conventional medicine.
Oh, fuck. This drives me fucking nuts. Sorry, I should put a disclaimer.
Just get flagged by YouTube later.
You're gonna have to just, it's gonna be me going beep 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 beep. I am not against conventional medicine.
No,
I think conventional medicine has a place.
Absolutely.
Our quality of life has increased tenfold. And I will say this, my hand on my heart, if I got cancer, I would definitely, for the sake of my family, for the sake of my children, I would do everything I can. If that means radiology, if that means chemotherapy, yes. Would I use what I know and my herbs as an adjuvant therapy to negate the effects of that?
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Do I get a chest infection and do I take antibiotics? Yes, I do.
Yes.
Do I then negate that by taking probiotics, prebiotics? Do I stop it from happening by taking care of myself, making sure, you know, my stress levels are down, that I get fresh air, that I eat well, that, you know, that I take Mullen and all this stuff? Yes, I think it goes together. And I don't understand why there's two parties.
Well, I think there's one party that's less willing to come to the table than the other.
Correct. Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, because we are taught to be able to converse with GPs, for example, and giving referrals. And, you know, I think what's really underrated about what we do is we have to keep up with medicine.
You have to.
In, you know, even though we're not a part of modern medicine, so to speak, we have to be able to keep up with new things and what's happening and what the new drug is. And because then we're going to have patients who are like, oh yeah, I'm taking this, this and this, and my doctor's treating me for this. And if we don't know the answer, we have to know how to find the answer real quick and then how to work with it. But yeah, through our whole degree, we've always been encouraged to work with conventional medicine, regardless of your personal beliefs. And I think us naturopaths, there's a full spectrum of people who are like maybe a little bit more anti-modern medicine to people who are like in the middle and people who are like, yeah, I want to work with it. But no matter where you stand personally, you have to be ready to accommodate your patient who is working with conventional medicine, and we are not allowed in any way to obstruct that, to take them off medications, to tell them to stop taking anything. We're not allowed to do that in any way. So we're not opposed to conventional medicine. However, I guess we are aware sometimes of the shortcomings, especially around chronic disease.
Yes.
Where, you know, honestly, the pharmaceutical companies do make a product that they want to have you on for the rest of your life. And quite often that comes with like chronic illnesses, whereas we go, fine, but maybe we could do stuff in the periphery, and then in 6 months you could go back to your doctor and maybe you can bring your dose down, or maybe your doctor can reassess you and maybe you don't need it anymore. So our goal is to have you manage your own health with good lifestyle and diet instead of needing to rely on a pharmaceutical medicine for the rest of your life when something could be corrected.
And I do think that modern medicine, especially with what we're facing right now, when we go see a doctor at 7 minutes, we don't usually have a family doctor that's with us from birth to death.
No.
That long-term care, that deep understanding. And you've got to, like, as much as I want doctors to respect what we do, I have to, it's quick work pro, you have to respect what they do. You have to respect the education they have.
There's some amazing doctors
phenomenal. Hand on my heart, like there's some that I'm just in awe of, like giant nerd crush on some doctors. But they are very much, it's switched now, I think, from being preventative care to crisis care.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like we've got the longer time with the patients. Our preventative care, ability to reach is so much higher than what doctors are able to provide.
Yes. And so there really is like a space in the market
100% for both.
For us, because, you know, if you, I don't know, you have diabetes type 2 or something, you go see your doctor, you get on the medication, fine. In the meantime, you see us, we look at your diet,
yeah,
we help you with like supplements, we make sure they don't interact with your medications. And then down the track, you might have the opportunity to reassess what you're doing with your doctor, and maybe...
And your doctor will be thrilled. At the end of the day, your doctor's going to be thrilled if you go back and you go, I need to drop this medication down.
Yeah.
They will be. Like, they will be, yes, this is great. How did you do this?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Some of them will be like, ugh. Like my...
Don't say you saw a naturopath.
I have a lot of conventional medicine practitioners in my family. So my little baby cousin, who's not a baby anymore, he is a specialist doctor. I have psychiatric nurses, psychiatric doctors. I have, you know, RNs, ENs, the whole lot. And there's a lot of pushback from, especially from the doctors, that, you know, like I'll get little WhatsApp messages, what woo-woo have you prescribed today? And there's a lot of time where I'm able to come up and be like, well, you know, wouldn't it be better if you didn't have that much clients waiting to see you? Because we got to them first and we assessed their diet and we assessed their lifestyle. And, you know, we reduced their stress, gave them breathing techniques, simple stuff that could then go, okay, well, we've delayed the onset and the severity of this illness.
Yeah.
So that you're not so under the pump. So you can spend more than 7 minutes with your client.
Yeah.
And duty of care is drilled into us. If it's out of our scope, and I think this is soapbox Sara moment. I think when you meet practitioners who don't understand their scope of practice, who think that they can heal the world, they can do all these things, they can...
You know, the ones who are like, I'll cure your cancer kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to the lack of, not the lack of education, but the ability to be humble and know that you're just one tiny, tiny part of this huge universe.
Yeah.
That you don't know everything. They're the ones that are a danger to our profession, because if someone came to me and said, I have cancer, heal me, I'd be like, boo. I will help you. I will hold your hand. I will give you, you know, if you don't want to negate your nausea, if you want to sort of reduce those side effects, I'll be there to help you, but I'm going to be talking to your oncologist.
Yeah. I'm
not going to sit here and tell you bald face that I can help, like I will fix your cancer.
Or, oh my God, no.
You know, like it's definitely a two-way street.
Yes.
100%. And, you know, the doctor's going to love the fact, well, hopefully some of them won't, that if you're open and honest and be like, I want to help this client has come to see me. I mean, Danielle Brown, phenomenal. That's her whole thing.
Yeah. And
she has the best success, and it's about ensuring not just survival, but quality of life. If you're end stage, not end stage because you'd be palliative care, but if you're, you know, stage 3, stage 4, that assistance with quality of life, not just survival.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll never ever say anyone I can cure any of their diseases. Because at the end of the day, it's not us. It's we can give you the information. We can help you.
Yeah.
But if you're considering, you know, if you're continuing to smoke a pack a day.
Yeah. Or there's only so much we can do, right?
Live in a high stress environment and have high blood pressure. And I'm never going to, it's very much, it should be a community. Everyone's health should be a community. It should be a community between you, your family, your primary healthcare provider, whether that is a naturopath or a doctor, and then your secondary healthcare provider, whether that is your doctor or naturopath. Yeah. I love that it's changing now that naturopaths are becoming primary and not secondary, but it should be a whole
team that works together.
Yeah, that works together. Because at the end of the day, all I want is for my clients to feel better.
Yeah.
And not just for a moment, not just, you know, when they get put on their pharmaceutical and they're like, I feel better, but then, you know, the side effects, where they just feel better, where quality of life is increased.
Yeah. And we educate them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big part of what we do. We're teaching patients.
Yeah,
so
doctor
much.
is teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, I am educated.
Very educated.
Oh.
We are unregulated. This is not true. Well, it's a funny area.
It's such a grey area.
So when you have your 4-year degree, or if you're grandfathered in under the old system with your diploma, you can choose to be a part of one of the associations or bodies that we register under. However, there is not one uniting body in Australia. There's a handful of prominent ones that you can choose from. And as long as you're registered with one of those prominent ones, you then can gain access to like practitioner-only products.
And insurance. You need to be
insurance, yeah, that's a good point. So, but there is no one body, for example, APRA, which covers, was it doctors, physios, chiros, pharmacists, right? And they're all under APRA. Sort of makes them like allied health or doctors, whatever. They're all under that one body. We are sort of scattered under a few different bodies. And look, the big ones, like I'm with ANTA, they're good, they're big, they have a lot of credibility and there's a lot of education that comes with it. And so we are regulated, but not united.
No.
That's a funny place to be.
It's a grey area.
And then there's been a lot of talk about, do we want to be regulated or not? And I've always been on the fence about it.
There's definitely two schools of thought there, because the more regulated we are, the less control we have over our own prescriptions.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like the first thing that came to mind was that like global thing that just happened a few years ago where people were forced to have certain, medical things done to them.
Oh, yes.
I think
I know what you're talking about. Was I here? No.
If you are regulated under a body that's under the government, they can enforce certain things.
Correct. And they can take things away.
But it also gives, on the other hand, it gives us a lot of credibility and a lot of structure and a united approach to naturopathic medicine.
Yeah.
You just hope that if we get regulated, that the regulators are in alignment with what you as a practitioner think is right. And because there's such a big scope of practitioners from really, I say this with love, woo-woo hippie kind of things, because I'm a bit there, to like full-on integrative medicine, type practitioners. There's such a huge scope, and trying to bundle us all under one thing is really interesting because we're all very different.
Yes,
in some ways.
I don't know how we'll ever get to the point where we can all be regulated.
Yeah.
Not regulated, like in that box.
Yes.
Because it's not, there's a lot of people who don't want to be regulated, like especially the old school naturopaths.
Yeah.
They don't want to be regulated. Whereas I would love to be regulated. I'd love to offer HBF.
Healthcare
rebates,
so
that people can have accessibility of health. So I think that, especially in this country, you should have control over your own health. So you should be able to put your money where you want to put your money, and if you pay for HBF because you're over 30, then you should be able to see a naturopath. If you can see an acupuncturist, we do the same amount of study.
Yes. That's a very good point.
And although I think that the reason for that is the documentation, the traditional Chinese medicine documentation.
They're under APRA.
They are under APRA. So explain, like, why are we not? I think registration would increase our credibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Would increase our reach. Would increase our accessibility.
We'd be considered one of the allied health professionals. Now we're kind of on the outskirts of the allied health professionals. But
then would we be able to prescribe homeopathy, bushflower essences, Australian, you know what I mean, like all these, if we're registered?
Well, that would be my concern with registration. So I love homeopathy. It has so much evidence. Like anyone who says there's no evidence for homeopathy hasn't read the evidence. Like it's there. And bushflower essences, I think we've all used it. I really like them,
especially with kids.
Non-invasive,
doesn't taste bad.
Beautiful. But and then things like that, like would they be acknowledged under traditional naturopathic practices, or would the traditional practices, which are a little bit more energetic, a bit more subtle, fall under, like cunning folk medicine kind of stuff? Would that be taken away? So that's an interest. That's my concern.
So basically we want to have our cake and eat it too. We want to be registered and have accessibility and recognition, but we don't want all our stuff taken away, which...
well, if it's safe.
As long as it's safe.
It should remain.
As long as it's safe and as long as there's a good reporting, I think, and that's another one with the reporting. There was an article years and years ago about a naturopath that was put in prison for, she had her clients visit her with a baby that had a high temperature and like febrile convulsion, high temperature, and gave them homeopathics and herbs. Unfortunately, that infant ended up with, febrile convulsions. You don't fuck with febrile convulsions. That reporting system, that duty of care system, that was old school though. That was someone who was under the grandfather clause, who hadn't gone and done, like the degree where we're pushed into duty of care, red flags, reporting. Whereas, if your baby came to you and was having febrile convulsions,
go to hospital.
Well, that's your face, exactly. You're like, oh, do you know what I mean? But also, if their temperature's that high, hospital, Nurofen, go.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Because you don't mess with that. I forgot where I was going with this, but maybe that, like the reporting, the standards of when you refer onwards. We don't have that. And we've got fly-by-nighters that go, oh, no, I can help you. Whereas, there needs to be, I think that's a big part of the registration, which I think would help our cause, to be able to treat people and people being open to come in to see us if they know that there's a fail-safe.
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't know, a lot of people don't want that because not a lot of people, there's a small community that think that they know better.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went on a tangent.
No, perfect. So, yeah, our regulation is like, we are sort of regular. If you see a naturopath, check which association they're with.
100%.
Check they're with an association. If they're with an association,
and ask for their credentials.
Yeah, they're up to date with their stuff. And
yes, and you can ask to see their degree.
Yeah,
you can ask to know. You can ask where they did their studies.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
There is no reason. I would be more than happy. I would be more than happy
to show off your degree,
to bring out my big gold frame and be like, this is
we paid a lot for it.
I want to show you. I will be more than happy to show you. Whereas if they are hesitant to show you, then red flag.
Yeah, because I think now it's a Bachelor of Health Science and Naturopathy, but I think previously naturopaths were doing, like, over East there was a university, it was like a Bachelor of Complementary Medicine, different to the Bachelor of Complementary Medicine I did, and then on top of that they did like a diploma in in herbs and a diploma in nutrition.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I've seen other naturopaths practicing with like a tertiary education, but it was a different type of degree. But it's still a tertiary education.
Yes.
But as long as, asked to see their credentials if you like, but also if they're under ANTA or the NHAA or ATMS, they're up to date with their education and that they have a degree to even be let in.
Correct.
To that.
And ask if they've got insurance.
That's a good point.
Because if they don't have insurance, either they don't. How do I put this so that I'm not cancelled? I'm going to be so cancelled. They've either lost their insurance for malpractice, because there's no one saying to you, if you lose your license to practice, if you lose your insurance for malpractice, who's coming to tell you can't practice anymore?
No, you can just kind of
you can start an
rolling.
ABN under somebody else. You can keep going. There's no one, whereas you're a doctor,
it's pretty publicly wiped as well.
Yeah. So ask for their insurance.
Yeah.
You two can do your research. Best thing you can do is do your research. Most naturopaths would be happy to have a phone call with you to talk things through. There was interesting the other day about asking about success rates, which I think is a bit in the air, because you could be the best naturopath ever and your clients are just resistant to change.
Yeah.
But asking about, just ask them. We are open.
Yeah, I'm having a chat. Most of us have like the free discovery call option anyway, where we'll do like a free 15-minute chat with you, talk to you about.
And if you're not comfortable, to say.
Yeah.
I
Find
don't think
someone
this
else
is
you
for
vibe
me.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do that, just like if you see a doctor and you're like, oh, this is not for me.
You need to be able to choose your health provider.
Correct.
Yeah.
Title
of naturopathic doctor. So this is a funny area, and I don't actually know the answer to this. We in Australia are naturopaths. We are not naturopathic doctors. We are not NDs.
Nope.
However, because it is an unregulated, unprotected title, I have seen genuine naturopaths use the term ND at the end of their name or their credentials, which I always think is a funny thing because naturopathic doctor is you can get qualified in like the States and Canada to be a naturopathic doctor.
However, they don't do 4 years. They do 7.
Yeah, don't they do?
They can do pap smears. They can take bloods,
IVs and stuff.
Yeah, it's
very
a totally different ball game. That is hard yakka.
Yeah, and I heard it's like a postgraduate, so you have to do like a basis in I don't know, some sort of medicinal science, and then you do a postgrad, and that makes you a naturopathic doctor. I may have it wrong, but yeah, it's far more than what we do, because we don't do anything that, you know, punctures the skin. We don't do pap smears. We don't do IVs or anything like that. We do not touch that at all.
No.
So yeah, having that ND at the end of our name, it's a funny thing, and maybe
it gives me the ick.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know why you asked me to do this one?
Why?
Because you're like, who's the most opinionated person I know?
Yeah.
That has an opinion about everything. It's ick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, come for me, whatever. But I think we're naturopaths. That you want to be a naturopathic doctor. Like, I looked at going to the US and Canada because I can get Canadian citizenship through my family to do that, and I had to start from scratch.
Really?
Yes.
From what we've got?
I think I got a year to 18 months off.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is it more medicine, almost like nurse practitioner kind of stuff?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a lot.
Sounds great.
And then you have to be, it's phenomenal. It was just for me because I'm not a citizen. Like,
we'd have to pay like the international rates and go there for like 6 years.
And then the cost of living is expensive, and I don't think my family wants to put me up and my family for 7 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Life.
My second cousin. Brought me and my kids and my husband. But yeah, it's a lot. So you then have to you're on a ward. You're on a ward for, much like when you're a doctor, you do, what's it called?
A clinic.
Yeah, but you're there for like 2-3 years.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I just think it's a really interesting thing to have ND, because then people are going to go, wait, what's an ND? Are they more qualified than a naturopath? And it's like,
I think people I think it's a ploy because it sounds like MD.
Exactly. And I think there are a lot of naturopaths who are so amazingly skilled and talented. And look, we have access to blood tests and functional tests. So we do have a lot of this like biomedical science understanding, and some naturopaths, I don't want to sound awful, but are like wannabe doctors. You know, you know exactly what I mean. You know, they're naturopaths, but they're trying to be like an integrative doctor, and that's not their qualification. But when you put ND next to your name, people think, oh, well, maybe she's got more training.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the case.
No.
So it's one of those sketchy areas, maybe a bit controversial.
But that goes back to the registration. That goes back to the title. That goes back to not having, that's what I mean. That goes into that box where you can literally call yourself whatever you wanted to. You could be Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
Title. Yeah, wouldn't it?
Ash the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, I'll be changing my name soon.
But because there's no protection, you can't. There's no regulation, so you can say ND, and nobody can come at you and say you're not an ND. It's the other parts of the naturopathic community that are like,
rolling our eyes.
Whereas I know people who are like, you know, people who are phenomenally intelligent, people who I am just in awe of every day, who don't ever do ND. they're just a naturopath, like, not just a naturopath, but they are a naturopath.
Yeah, they're comfortable with their title. They know what it represents.
And they've done far more extensive, like they've done masters.
Yeah.
They've done
research.
Yeah, and they're continually doing research and continual further development and continual education, and still don't say ND, because our degree doesn't say Bachelor of Health Science Naturopathic Doctor or Naturopathic Medicine, or we're not. It's just like, don't get too big for your boots.
Yeah,
stay in your lane.
Yeah. So I have one more.
Yeah.
If it's natural, it must be safe.
Oh, well, arsenic's natural.
Uranium.
Mercury.
All natural.
Oh, heroin.
Natural.
Cocaine.
Natural.
Yeah. No. Horse shit. And I hate the fact. Okay. Bear with me on this rant. The fact that you can go to a pharmacy and talk to a pharmacy assistant and buy supplements. And even when you go, so when I was at the airport and there was a huge supplement mart there, and there was people, it was a massive supplement mart in the domestic airport, and there was FIFO guys in there buying all this shit. And it's like, oh, if it's natural, there's no need to have someone prescribe it to you. So I could pop to the pharmacy right now, and I could
you could take something and kill your liver.
Yeah. Or I could take something that is completely contraindicated with the medicines that I'm on.
Yes.
And the doctor or the pharmacy assistant may say, are you on blood thinners? Or may say, are you on this? And you're like, no. Because you don't understand the mechanism of your medicines. You see the name, whatever it is, and you go, well, that's just that medicine. I don't know what it does.
Well, I mean, it's amazing if you're going to a pharmacy to buy supplements. You can just go onto the internet now and buy whatever you want, and no one stops you.
No one stops you. Like the amount of stuff that's on a certain website. I mean, I've used that certain website myself many times.
I know which website you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's okay if you know what you're looking for.
If you know what you're looking for, but the amount of stuff that I've stumbled across there and been like, and I've ordered it because I can't get it here. But I know exactly the dose and I know exactly what we're doing with it. But even in Coles, when you go to the bloody supermarket, and look, those are not high quality. Oh my God, I'm going to be so cancelled. I'm literally going to be like assassinated in the street. They're not high quality supplements.
Big Pharma and Coles coming for you.
All of them. But they're not high quality supplements. They are made in the brain that some Joe Blogs is going to go in and take probably more than recommended. So they're never going to be the strength that we can access or the quality that we can access.
I think one of the most famous incidences was Armour Force.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Huge.
So has an amazing herbin and andrographis, which is fabulous at the onset of like a cold or a flu.
The acutest point.
Yeah.
The acutest, not this freaking obtuse, let's take it all year round.
Yeah, and so it was sold at pharmacies and people got wind that it was really good and they were taking it constantly.
Yeah.
And they were having, I can't remember, people were having liver issues. I think people were having, I don't want to speak out of turn, I might be wrong.
There was rashes, people were having like, what's it called,
like urticaria.
Yeah, that's the one, all over their body.
Yeah.
Their immune system was getting absolutely munted because they were having such a high immune modulator constantly.
Yeah.
That, what happens when you modulate your immune system or enhance your immune system. Like what happens in the body, this is not a test, I'm not going to give you a mark for this, but if you enhance your immune system too much to the point where it starts doing things to your own body, it results in an autoimmune issue.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Like, I don't know, you just don't fuck with your immune system.
Yeah.
But you don't. You need to understand.
And people were taking it as like a prophylactic, non-stop.
Correct.
And then, you know, there was huge issues with it and it had to get, you know, changed and altered. But
you still get it.
Well, yeah, they've changed the branding and the, you know, like the labeling and the doses significantly less.
But that was made for as a practitioner product.
Yeah.
Whereas a practitioner would sit there with you and say,
you want andrographis? How's your liver functioning? Let's check that first. You can only take this for a week, by the way, and let me sort out the dosage for you. It's so different. So that, I guess that's an example of something natural that can do a lot of damage. And any herb that, you know, acts upon the liver enzymes, you're gonna metabolize everything quicker. So if you've got a medicine that you need to take every day that's meant to last the 24 hours until you take it again, like the oral contraceptive, and your liver is super functioning, it may not be in your system for as long as you think it is, and then, you know, like any effects and
there's a lot of stuff. Even, excuse me, when with what's it called, methotrexate. With methotrexate, you know, taking turmeric. People take turmeric like there's no tomorrow. Like everyone's like banging turmeric. But turmeric enhances the effect of methotrexate, but also reduces the ability to store iron.
Oh, okay.
So if you've got hemochromatosis, freaking bang on, take like, you know, therapeutic dose of turmeric. But if you're taking it every day and you're anemic, do you know what I mean? Like there's those, you've got to always think, how does this fit into the jigsaw puzzle of your health? Yeah. It's not simply a Band-Aid.
No.
And just because it's natural doesn't mean it's good. It's, and, you know, if you don't realize that taking turmeric enhances the longevity of methotrexate, and methotrexate is something that that's for rheumatoid arthritis, just prescription, and you are, you know, taking double dose, and then it has a negative effect on you, like say, you know, because people get really it's just there's a lot of side effects, and you're enhancing those side effects. You know, some people can negate them, some people can enhance them, depends on how your body works. But people pop turmeric.
It was like
non-stop.
It was the latest thing.
Oh,
you know, like everyone's like, oh, take turmeric, it's anti-inflammatory. Okay, yeah. The other one, not everyone will agree with me, but I remember talking to you about this in clinic, was withania, ashwagandha.
Oh, yes.
So, like, I used to have a bit of a polycystic kind of presentation, and I thought, well, I'm a bit stressed, let me take some ashwagandha, withania. The next thing, I've got acne here. It increased my testosterone, my androgens. You know, and that's something that everyone is like, it's just getting pushed on television ads. Everyone's like, oh, take some ashwagandha for your stress. It's like, but maybe if you have polycystic ovaries and you have high androgens, maybe, and you're female, don't do it. But you don't know that. And there's so many things that I think that we don't know. Like, I didn't realize the turmeric methotrexate thing, but if you came in on methotrexate and I was going to give you turmeric, I would know that, because before I give you anything, I have an interaction checker. So I wouldn't give it to you in the end, because I go, oops, sorry, not that one. We're going to change it.
And how big is that? I mean, that interaction checker is enormous, and there is no way that a pharmacy assistant, I'm not ragging on pharmacy assistants, like kudos to you, couldn't do what you do. People talking to me all day, no thank you. But like, if there is no way that's in their head. You can't. I mean, sometimes I shock myself when I check that interaction checker, where I read it and I go,
yeah, it's amazing.
I would never have thought that.
But then there's like, we learn 300 herbs, and then there's like 10,000 medications. How can you know all of them?
You can't.
You really rely on those interaction checkers. Like, there's a couple of main ones that you'll know, but there's so much.
There is a lot.
It shocks you.
And it shouldn't be a free-for-all. And I think the biggest irk for me is the practitioner products being sold on shelves for the average Joe Blogs to buy, when a lot of the time it's not safe. But that's not what they're designed for. No. It's meant to be like individualized prescribing, monitored, and testing. And taking a whole profile. Not just coming in and having a 5-minute chat about your symptoms. It's a whole profile. Yeah, and then they pop them like bloody lollies, and then you've got polypharmacy going on, and it's just a nightmare. Yeah. Well,
that's all the myths I had for us to discuss. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Thanks for letting me rant.
Bye.
Bye.